Actually, you can't see. Those are the new blue lights. There's quite a few of them. There's also an SOS light there. That's the bridge. I'm not going to take a walk under the bridge tonight because it's a weekend. I'm making a video. It's a weekend, and even though I know that there's trap wire, I want to be especially careful. But don't you love the blue lights that they put up? If with all my bitching about blue lights. So the storm was pretty bad. The real storm is the one that's coming up this week, and the one I've been dealing with all week, which is the fact that my voter registration was rejected. I understand that the feds are issuing an alert for the state for fake voter registration letters to deny people from voting. And the most interesting thing is that the first appointment you can even get to get a state ID is November 20th. So I did call the governor's office, and you know, since the lawyer who fought that case in the Supreme Court is the same lawyer who represented him with HCA Columbia, and was my professor at the time. So if I have to pull a few strings, I will. There were a few things that happened that just pushed me over the edge a little bit, family type things, and that was enough for me to really want to establish my rights. Certainly, one thing that the former chair of Judiciary and a very, very good friend of mine, Majority Whip of the House, told me is that certainly state politics are, and the strongest position politically would be governor as opposed to running for a federal office. So I'm always very careful. I register to vote. I make sure that I do everything that I can. You know, I do already have an open voter registration fraud case that's being investigated in Pennsylvania. The IRS is investigating fraud, and guess what? I'm not afraid to use it. So I realize you can't see much here. This is just my daily dose. I took a walk because if I didn't, I would probably wind up throwing some things against the walls. I just needed to get out and get some fresh air. The storm wasn't really that bad. Trust me, the storm is nothing compared to what I've seen. But things are definitely heating up in this state and in this election. And I do see myself as a stakeholder, a very strong stakeholder, as someone who, well, I don't need to qualify myself. I'm definitely a stakeholder. And something's definitely wrong when you take all the proper steps, when you're exempt from certain federal requirements, and you express that you're exempt from those requirements because you happen to have, say, a 14-millimeter tumor on your spine, but you do everything else that's required of you. Call the Election Commission, call Department of Safety, call the governor's office, speak to your congressman, speak to pretty much everyone there is. And I think it's ironic that, you know, the voter fraud thing's been going on for a while. It's the same issue that's going on with the IRS and with my health benefits, that someone else is using my social. And I got a nice letter from the IRS, and they actually wrote me a check. The good news is they wrote me a check for the very same year that is still subject to, well, let's just say it could be the final nail in somebody's coffin if I do wind up getting evicted from this so-called revocable trust. And it's Friday night. Fridays are always, especially the last weekends of the month, are always very stressful. You know, I plan things very carefully. I do things by the book. I'm sorry, this is a very boring view. There's probably a lot of wind, but I do things by the book. I registered. I signed my lease. Specifically, I turned on utilities. Sorry, here comes the storm. Specifically to make sure that I can exercise my rights as an American citizen. and to make sure that things go smoothly in the transition. And my buttons are being pushed over lies and bullshit. So in any event, I realize I sound angry now. I am angry, trust me. But it's better that I be angry on a private video and express it in my own way, whether it be cursing, whether it be stamping my feet, whether it be just saying stupid, ridiculous things, than directing it at the person who really deserves it right now, because you sometimes just have to give somebody enough rope to hang themselves. So I know what my rights are. I know what the situation is. I'm prepared to go the distance and fight for my rights. They've been fucked with just a little bit too much. And I'm too old for this. I'm way too old for this. The qualifying event was, 17 years ago? Qualifying event meaning the event that makes you no longer eligible to be claimed as a beneficiary, as an ERISA beneficiary or a dependent on a parent's tax forms, especially a parent who had their parental rights terminated in 1988. So I think some of you guys who are following my story can hear what I'm not saying. This is the most boring video ever because you can't really see much here. But I need to have a meltdown after the conversations I've had. The OIG has flagged my file, which I've requested a long time ago. The IRS definitely flagged my file. If you follow my posts, you know that just because the IRS finds somebody else using your taxpayer ID or social security number, they will flag it, but they won't tell you who it is. Well, guess what? I know who it is. And that case is still very much open. And I have a feeling that, as much hell as I've been through, that there are some people who are starting to pay a little bit of attention, because just before I relocated and learned about this trust fund, which is definitely not trustworthy, I got a ridiculous little check from the IRS, but it was just enough to let me know that 2009 case is still there. So I'm going to be good. I have to deal with the mother preacher this week. I already put my foot down a few things, but I refuse to be victimized at this point in my life, and I was, not prepared. I'm not sitting here and I'm not prepared to file a lawsuit against her, but I'm willing to let the wheels of justice take place. So when I found out that my benefits were terminated again, and that the government decided I was no longer eligible the day after she insisted that I sign a lease, even though a lease into this family trust, I did what was legally required of me and made sure I got utilities in my name. So I'm paying utilities for faulty electricity. I don't know if you saw the other videos. I think they were private too. So right now, I'm going to chow down, get some food. I'm going to hope to God I can find some nails, because I have the urge to hang up some things in my apartment, since I have no shelves or anything like that. And I'm determined to keep my cool and stay to myself so that I don't aggravate the witchy woman before D-Day. So in any event, statute of limitations, very much. We're talking about equitable tolling now. We're talking about the kinds of crimes that that people generally don't, she probably won't wind up getting arrested, but what will likely happen, she'll probably lose her shit altogether. That is not beneficial for me, because if that happens, then I have to worry about my future, since she has played with my federal benefits. And quite frankly, even though it's expensive and even though it's tough and it's, and it's not certainly within my budget. These are all boats here, by the way. Don't you love the blue lights they put in? You know how I love blue lights. It's in my best interest. I want to stay here. Oh crap, I forgot to enroll in spring classes. So, I've been through quite a lot in my life. There was a point where they cut my fees down to $1.68 a month. I was able to survive for 8 months until I will survive. So expect some meltdowns. And that's all I have to say about that. The time is 11:11.